please just keep your comments until the end of the citizens forum as we go through the meeting. Our first item of business is the minutes of February 15th, 2023 meeting. Everybody have time to?
I've got a few follow-up comments from the last meeting. I always like to look at the minutes from the last meeting and follow up on things that, questions that were asked. There were some questions asked about ridership, and I think I provided to you a comparison of ridership between of APTA, the American Public Transit Association, and basically their ridership comparison was pre-COVID to today's time, or as close as it could be as far as reporting. And they were showing a 69% ridership of what their ridership was prior to COVID. So there is still some impacts relating to COVID. And then looking at our ridership, it shows that we're at a 73%, as to prior to COVID. So we're running, stronger than the nation's average. We are seeing it even in the last few months, looking at, numbers even starting to come up better. So just wanted to bring that to your attention, and I included that in your packet. Also, we included a deal in there about the courtesy and priority sitting, a document kind of showing what that is, and because there were some questions about that had come up. And then another question that had come up was about public participation and associated time limits for concerns and comments. And we did some research and found out that the commission had previously approved, it's a little bit backwards from what the board of directors are, but it's 5 minutes per item and 2 minutes per citizens forum. So that's what the commission had approved, and I think I provided that to you in the packet as well, where that had been completed. And then as far as the other item about where we are on the shelters, the shelter art project, we've got 5 shelters put up. We're now working on the art displays, trying to get them best way to synchronize or situate those inside the shelters. We're actually working on that. We're working with the street department on pouring the remaining pads and getting those shelters up. So with that shelter art project, there will actually be 12 shelters that will be associated with that. I said 5. I don't believe that includes the 2 that we put up at Gorman Tower. So we're working fast and hard on that. But that's all the comments I had about the minutes.
I think the type in the previous minutes is auto-corrects my name from Elskin to Elkins.
Okay.
So it doesn't matter,
I
but.
apologize for that.
No big
We'll
deal.
watch that closely.
That autocorrect is just great until it's not.
I did a little math this morning on the ridership numbers too, and I was noticing that I used the smallest average monthly ridership number for all the months of 2023, and using it, we are still comfortably on track to be about 76% of our 2019 pre-COVID numbers. So that's going to put us doing stronger than a lot of the country. Still a lot of improvement to go, but stronger than a lot of the country.
And now we have the capability to build.
And that's with the most conservative number,
Anyone have any changes they want to make? I'll make a motion to accept the minutes.
Second?
Roll call. Brad?
Yes.
Angie? Yes. Joe? Yep. Melissa?
Yes.
Dustin?
Yes.
All in favor, none opposed.
Our second item here is a review and consideration of a public hearing for the department's 2024 to 2026 disadvantaged business enterprises plan and goal of 2%.
So DOT seeks to ensure non-discrimination in the award and administration of contracts. And their purpose is to create a level playing field for DBEs to compete, DBEs being disadvantaged business enterprises. They expect the transit agencies to pass through that, that requirement and develop a goal, based on our local area, US Census information, for this area. And we use RDOT, and RDOT's plan to reference when we're developing our goal. And our goal, basically is 2%. I think Greg, maybe you give a little bit more about how we dug into this. Sorry to put you on the spot.
Excuse me, so we did we used the numbers from the US Census, to see how many, businesses that we have in the state of Arkansas that pertains to the projects that we're doing. With that, we also use RDOT, with, getting the list of approved DBEs, people who registered and went through the process of becoming DBEs, and we match those numbers, with the projects that we, foresee in the next 3 years, and, that's how we were able to come up with the, 2% number, so.
Perfect. Well, thank you.
What are we doing? I noticed there's a few on the list in Van Buren, but there's not very many in Fort Smith proper. Is there a lack of possible DBE businesses, or could we possibly be doing more to help attract local businesses that might qualify to get on the list?
Oh, that's well, we don't have a lot in our, local market areas that are approved DBEs. We do have a plan, and we do direct, them to the process of how to become a DBE. It is a long and,
Is it hard?
tough, rigorous, process, where a lot of people are not, just willing to do it. But we are encouraging that and doing our very best to help in that area as much as possible to get more, people, into that. So that's basically the best we can do on that part of it, so.
And there is a very low participation across the state of Arkansas.
Yeah.
Well, that's it, the list isn't very long at all, I mean,
And-
not
and
just here, I mean,
Specifically.
this shouldn't be able to fit in my hand,
Right.
you know, this should be a binder.
Right, specifically the transit, where you will find more certified DBEs are relating to like construction work.
Well, I know it's like time striping was
Right,
one that I'm familiar with.
So when you have a construction project, we can meet that goal, and we've actually met that for this period, and we've exceeded that for this current period. So we look at that when we, do a market analysis for a comparison for our current goal going forward. And so, the fact that we've met and exceeded that, we're good to stand at the 2%. And it's figured on race gender neutral means basically where, we're not putting contract requirements in, we're just anticipating that's going to happen, with the work that we have done and the awards that we make. And so the 2% goal is where we've landed on. We feel that's appropriate, and, what we're hoping to do today is to have open this up to a public hearing. Greg, as the civil rights officer, will be presenting this to different groups, so that it can be known, and to help encourage people to apply for the certifications, because, there are such a lack of
Yeah,
certified.
there's not a ton of choices here.
Right.
Yeah, we went from 300 and something in the last 3 years to now it's only 180, 160 something
Right.
available
So
DBEs.
this is actually street.
I didn't
Yes.
look at this year's details, but I know when I looked last year, I feel like there's businesses that would qualify, that the bar is not set so high that there's nobody that's gonna be this. I think there's a lot of people that would make it through if they apply.
And there are some specifics, like you can't have any more than 1.2 billion in assets and things of that nature, so.
Okay, so you gotta be
It
pretty
kind of
small.
rules out the larger.
Yeah,
businesses,
you gotta be pretty small.
you know.
But like, we have an access road construction project that's not too
Right.
far down the line, that I could see falling within the realm of
That's right.
something that a medium-sized business
Right, and there's
could be
likely to
involved
be
in.
some contractors that will be, fit into that, threshold, so yeah, that's included, it's all incorporated into the goal.
If I can add, FDA has a rigorous process that's required in order to be certified. We have gotten with, the Community Development Department, CDBG.
Great.
Because they are really heavy in their DBE process. But their, process is not, all they have to do is just fill out a form and they're a DBE. FDA is totally different.
Tough. That's a government for you then. So do we need a motion to open the hearing? I'll motion to open the hearing.
I'll second.
Roll call, Angie,
Yes.
Brad,
Yes.
Joe. Yep. Dustin,
Yes.
Melissa,
Yes.
all in favor, none opposed.
Item 3 is a review or consideration of the approval of our new TAP assistance program and request. I think we have a couple today.
Right. Go over those for you if you like. The first one is the VA clinic that is requesting tickets to assist veterans that are not currently eligible for our free fare, for, veterans that have a service-connected disability. So there are veterans that do not have a service-connected disability, and they're wanting to, seek tickets to assist those veterans, in the obtaining basic services and things. So that's what that application is. And then we have another one after that one. The second one is, Jesse's House, which provides, case management and transitional housing for LGBTQ plus young adults age 18 to 24. And, so this will be, kind of in the inclusion category, and, we're, presenting you this request as well. We've invited, individuals from both of these agencies. I'm not sure, is there anyone here from either of these entities? Okay.
The VA.
Okay, the VA, okay. So we have someone here from VA. Would you care to share a little bit about,
So the disabled route or the discounted fares, that is for people who generally have a service connection. Those people get additional funds because they are service connected, but it really doesn't assist the poor, and the very low income. So those people who don't have transportation really struggle with getting to the VA where we're at now. A lot of them are housed near the other VA because we both work in the housing, in the homeless department area. And so we used to get them housed near the VA so they could get to their appointments. Now we're out here and there's not a lot of low income housing over here, and it's really hard for them to get back and forth. And then also all your homeless services, which they do, I mean, those organizations do have some tickets, but they're all downtown also.
thank you. That's all I have to report on.
How many tickets are you looking for? Or you have a number that,
We discussed that, when there were COVID dollars available, we had a ride share system that we could use. Of course, that ends today. So we actually will have nothing to assist people with transportation now. We have no idea what that's gonna look like. We were utilizing ride share daily for multiple people a day to get to appointments.
About how many people are you finding in need of that? How many people are you
That's-
needing, when y'all are typically footing the bill here?
That's not a particular number, cause I mean, one day could be very
Okay,
from
but you know,
one day
just
to the next.
ballpark, are we
That's what I
talking
was trying-
20 people this month that needed a ticket, or are we talking, you did it for 200 people or 5 people?
I would say 25 to 30 a month.
I think that sounds very reasonable.
Yeah.
We have a lot of other organizations that we do 25 for as a starter and see how it goes.
25 is what we've been
That-
using, and it's
yeah,
not a
and
set
that-
number,
yeah.
let's just see how it goes. If you
Okay.
need more,
Yeah,
let us know.
come talk to us, but I think that sounds like a good start, get you not having to pay those expensive ride shares right away. 25, Dustin, is that what we're saying?
Yeah.
25.
Right. I'll make a motion,
I'll second it.
5 tap tickets for the Veterans Healthcare of the Ozarks.
Roll call Joe,
Yes.
Brad,
Yes.
Angie,
Yes.
Melissa,
Yes.
Dustin,
Yes.
all in favor, none opposed. 25 tickets a month.
And you can work with Tanya, she's not here currently today, but, just call back to our office and get
Okay.
you
I
taken.
think I've spoke with her a
Okay.
few times.
Great.
Thank you very much.
Gotcha.
We also have a second request for Jesse's house.
Is there anyone here from Jesse's house? That matter before the commission.
Well, I would think that that situation would it be helpful to, for them to be able to have a way to get to work.
Yeah, I talked to them about buses before this application came in. They were really trying hard to get a car donated by somebody so that they could all share a car, and because they have a massive transportation problem. And they were excited to hear about our transit system and how it works, but, you know, free tickets would definitely help the folks who, you know, haven't got a paycheck in yet.
How many tickets do they need?
I don't know the numbers on that.
So I've provided you our report from, and it's actually the annual report that ended up last year, where we normally try to cap that at 15,000 annually. The utilization is 9,006, I think is what it was. And that was prior to the tickets that you dispersed at the last meeting, so it'll give you kind of some idea where we're at. So,
I don't have a problem, 25 tickets.
I think 25 would be a good start to see how that goes.
So motion to approve. You, Angie, who's second?
I'll second.
Roll call Dustin,
Yes.
Brad,
Yes.
Melissa,
Yes.
Angie,
Yes.
Joe. Yes. All in favor, none opposed.
Fourth item here is a review for consideration of approval of selected fixed route service test dates on Saturday for the Jenny Lynn route and Chaffee Crossing proposed route, which is just really through the summer and then a little bit into the fall
That's good.
for the farmer's market.
Farmers market over there.
and I can give you a little more on that. So we received a request, and Lori Robertson's here, can share more about that, but, for, transportation associated with the farmer's market at the Chaffee Crossing area. And on those dates, we kind of looked at this and believed that this would be a good opportunity to put in a test route for both the Jenny Lynn, which, you know, only operates Monday through Friday, and we've had considerable requests to run that on Saturdays as well.
That's our most popular request for
Right.
extended service.
And then, link that with this, potential route for, Fort Chaffee. And Greg here can show the actual route, and you know what, are familiar with the, Jenny Lynn route, so, this would be the, Chaffee route. At least kind of an overlay of what that would look like. And the benefit to this also is that it ties into the Parrot Island Water Park and can provide service on those select Saturdays. So we're selecting those specific dates, those 6 dates that are up there, to actually do this. And I think it would be a, you know, a nice thing to have, and we have had, some requests
the feedback we've heard on the potential new route so far, that was one of the biggest items I've heard, is who wanted to go to the water park on the weekend.
So how we, go about funding this actual test, or we've created some internal efficiencies in our scheduling. We had a few more hours factored in, for actually the pre-trip of the large buses. Well, as the drivers became more familiar with that, we've been able to kind of curb that time down, shift some times around in our scheduling, and create enough savings there, so to speak, to be able to do this test anyways. And so what we're hoping to do is at least do this test, and in concert with this, we're working with Reese and Desiree to actually, they're the ones that work on our surveys for the department, and do a wonderful job with that. Well, this will give them an opportunity to kind of expand on the survey that they're working on, specifically for this route. And Reese, can you tell us a little bit about your,
Sure.
I'm sorry to put you on the spot.
No problem. Reese Brewer, Director of Frontier MPO, and we do regional transportation planning. This is our transportation plan, Desiree Fuentes. And we're really excited to hear about this pilot project, and so it'll give us an opportunity to survey those riders. And we may have to pick certain dates or go on the bus on those dates, just to get a feel for what attractions, what places do they wanna go, is this serving their needs, does this work for them? And so we drafted up a survey that Lori and Ken are reviewing to make sure that we're asking the right questions about their use, or do they wanna see it expanded, or, just the basic things that you would wanna know from folks. And so we'll do that survey whenever you all, I think it'll be fun. I'm
Yes,
really
looking
excited.
forward to it.
And
They do a
maybe
wonderful-
we'll jump off of the farmers market.
They did a wonderful job for us. And, if it's okay to ask, Lori, is there any input that you wanna give in on this?
Yes, I would love to thank you. I'm Maureen Robertson, Director of Marketing for the Fort Chaffee Redevelopment Authority, aka Chaffee Crossing. And we've been hoping to have a bus route for a long time. As the community has grown, I think it might be beneficial for the commission to know that there are now 45 residential neighborhoods in Chaffee Crossing. 45 within that boundary of that area of the city, and there are a couple of, there's one neighborhood for sure, Stone Ridge, which is an entry-level homeownership type program, type neighborhood, which is a HUD-related type program, on South Chad Colley. And then as I was thinking about it, I mean, there are a couple, I think there's some of that may apply also in Regency Park, which is also on the south end of Chad Colley. And then as I was looking at your map, it occurred to me too, Boast has an assisted living facility with 16 apartments there, and it comes not too far from where the route will come across from McClure Drive to Wills Lake Road. And so, when you really start digging in and start looking at it, sometimes there things are not what they may have seen on the surface, and there truly are folks that could benefit from this. As we grow and as we move forward, we anticipate more entry-level housing. There are quite a few multifamily developments that are currently in process, under construction. And, as we get further along into those opening, I think we'll find further and further demand. We've also heard from the medical college that actually several of the medical students, they may come to our community and not have a vehicle. And so they're using Uber and whatnot, but they would appreciate public transportation. And so as we move into this and as the market grows, I think it's worth mentioning that there are 150 vendors approximately that are signed up to start the market season. And we started at 120 last year, and it just continuously grew. And yes, we are offering farm products, and we have artisans and craftsmen, and we have food and entertainment. And this is once a month for people to enjoy, and it's free. It's free. And so the partnership with this route, and to attract people to a newly developing area of the city, that on the surface, to a lot of people may seem like, oh, well, that's just a higher income neighborhood, it might not seem like there's a cause for this. There is, and I think it's important for us to offer all of these same opportunities to people that live all across the city. That's extremely important, so we're just as excited as we can be, and, I just need to know if I need to go buy a bench.
I've been talking about the need for Chaffee's on the horizon for a couple of years now, but I had been viewing it more as an outbound destination, that we need to be able to get people from our core route neighborhoods out to all of those employers and businesses and destinations out there. I hadn't really thought of it as having as much opportunity for inbound, bringing people who live there to the core neighborhoods that we already have.
I think you'll see that shift, really, get stronger over time. Back to those 45 neighborhoods, approximately, with the new developments that we brought on in the last 12 to 24 months, actually, we have had a shift. We were at the end of 21, we were at approximately a 50-50 single family versus multifamily balance in those neighborhoods. We saw a huge shift last year, and it's now more like 35% single family, and the balance being multifamily. And now, of course, these are all not completed yet, but
Right.
these are projects that are underway, they're under construction, and some of them are being phased as well. But as that continues to happen, and you'll also see, there's a lot of dynamic happening in that part of the city. As Highway 255 opens up, I think you'll see changes with Barling in their population and the demands and some of those things that we'll see in some of those neighborhoods. Perhaps more of a demand for multifamily. There'll be a shifting off of Stroger as a state highway. There's a shifting off of Church Street / the current Highway 255 section, and now it'll take a pass through Chaffee Crossing. And one of the most common requests for Chaffee Crossing development has been for many years the grocery store, place to purchase food. If you truly look at a map, and I think Reese will back me up on that it's actually a food desert. So you don't think of it in those terms because it's all new construction essentially. But that is, we keep hearing rumblings and, about the possibility of a grocery store coming. And of course, CV's closed in Barling. So the closest food store is Walmart at Rogers and Mazard. And so I think you'll see a lot more
I was
of
thinking
those.
West End or a closer grocery store would be.
Yeah, and that's why I feel like, Barling population will shift and perhaps, want to come, once that's established, that footprint's established, and then as more and more of the multifamily neighborhoods are completed, I think you're gonna see, all these dynamics change. And there are a lot of jobs, as you mentioned, Melissa, lots of opportunities, and more are coming. When you look at our development currently, there is an 825,000 square foot warehouse being constructed at the intersection of Highway 22 and Mahogany Avenue. And that will be a 24-acre facility under roof. And, I don't have firm job numbers yet, but, they could run anywhere from, let's estimate, maybe 80 to 100 jobs that could be created. And that's on the far, far end of Barling, before we get into the Fort Chaffee zone. But there are so many exciting things happening. This really plays into good foresight on the part of the commission. And we certainly appreciate everything that Reese and her team do. So we want to work with you. We'll help any way that we can. If I can provide data, I'm glad to do that as much as possible.
Where is the market? Where's the farmer's
See the
market?
loop on the far right side of the map? It's got a yellow call out and it makes a rectangle.
Oh, okay,
Right there.
I see it, yes.
So
Okay.
that's the market.
It's in that area, okay.
And there will
I'm
be,
terribly ignorant of Chaffee, it's a little out of my way.
it's pretty easy.
And
to go down.
it's changed so much that just you saw it last year, it's not the same this year.
Yeah, no, it changes weekly, to be quite honest with you. I mean, we did an hour and a half drive around with the staff yesterday, just opening our eyes even, you know, at things that have changed and come up quickly out of the ground.
It's fast.
And I will also mention, you know, there will be apartments, in some of the development in the former barracks. That's called, it's actually, the development's called the Barracks at Chappie. And that is, going to be apartments and Airbnb units on the second floors above commercial, retail, restaurants and boutique shops, you know, all that kind of stuff on the ground floors. And, you may not know this, but there is an RV park in that area, in that historic district area on the east side of the interstate. And a lot of people do live there. Now, obviously, they're RVs and most of them have transportation, but some of them, you know, may not, I don't know. And they actually live there, you know, that was an old Army development and, for contractors. But it's family owned, it's privately owned and operated, and we see a lot of tourism in and out of there. So think about people that could be coming as we work to become more of a tourism destination area for people. You know, they may come in pulling a trailer, but maybe they might not wanna unhook and all the trouble, you know, the extra work that causes. Public transportation could be a benefit for that as well. There's all kinds of opportunities as festivals and things arise over time.
Thank you, Lori, appreciate that. And we, as you know, we transport quite a few people out to Mars and,
Right,
also
there's
the
many
graphics
businesses,
packaging and other areas out in the Fort Chaffee area. And if you haven't been out there lately, you really should take.
I need to
Take
go
a
out there.
trip.
I guess Saturday I'm gonna ride that bus out there and check that market out and see what's in it. It's just, you know, sometimes, you know, a neighborhood's not the neighborhood you have to, you live in or work in, you don't see it very often.
And one other thing to mention is the route does swing by the Peak Innovation Center also, and that's really growing. I'm hearing more and more about that every day.
Do you need a motion on this, or is this already
Yeah, I
in
probably think we need a
I know
motion.
in the part of this, the Jimmy Lynn end was part of the all zero route that we
That's right.
used to have, we had some lack of,
Participation.
our anticipated success wasn't what we thought it was gonna be out there.
But that's been some
Are we
time
doing
back.
something different, or is it just we think demand may have changed? 'Cause
Yeah.
this was the first year
Right.
when we piloted it,
Right.
and it didn't do what I thought it was gonna do.
Yeah, this is true.
I figured there would be tons of people riding the water
And
bike.
so
and
this
it was
kind of,
not.
this segment that there is really just a segment in between.
Okay, to get us, it's the, okay,
And
it's
we
the
looked at two
interim rather
different-
than the part.
Two different avenues. We looked at
Okay.
coming from the super center over on Walmart area,
Okay.
over on Rogers, and there seemed to be, and we may have been looking at it incorrectly, but there seemed to be some dead space that we felt like might not be as productive,
Yeah.
you know, for as it would be to go by here, which captures the links, captures, yeah,
Planners and all that.
right, planners. There's definitely a lot of
My only
ridership
concern
issues.
about the Saturday pilots is that we're not gonna get a good read on our people that would take it to work. Because I don't think Mars and stuff runs on Saturdays, do they?
They work.
Do they run shifts on Saturdays?
Graphic Packaging and Mars both work.
Oh,
on
okay,
Saturdays.
I didn't know
I'm
they
not
ran
sure
Saturday
about
shifts.
Blackfelter.
Okay,
I'm pretty sure Umarex and, Phoenix Metals do not.
okay.
But there's
But
another.
there's some of those factory employers that are running a Saturday shift.
And there's another thing that's not quite on everybody's, if I may, there's another thing that's not quite on radar yet, and that's because it's not under construction, but behind Graphic Packaging and Mars, there's Flagstone Road runs between those. And back in there, there's a 30-acre parcel back in there where there will be another 600,000 square feet of warehouse that will be constructed probably, you know, within the next couple of years. And, so, you know, that's gonna increase your industrial, you know, workers during the day coming to the area. Another thought, and this may be helpful to you, especially as you work on, you know, federal funding in your applications. One of the things that this route could do and potentially offers is access to trails, amenities, and recreations for the underserved, things that are not in other parts of the city. The Janet Huckabee Nature Center, which is free, which is an Arkansas Game and Fish Commission, you know,
Is that
a
on the
facility.
test route?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yes, I noticed that that's what made me think about that. Fishing on Wills Lake is free. Terrain lake fishing is free, it's owned by the county. Then you have McClure Amphitheater, which is a lovely facility and, you know, is a city park. And then we are working technically, right now, there are around 37 miles of trails between Chappie Crossing and Ben Guerin Park. Now, the bulk of that is gonna be mountain bike trails that are, you know, within Ben Guerin. But we are about to add several more miles, which will be, they'll be connecting the medical college to the historic district area, which, you know, where the market is held. So we're gonna expand that and we're gonna be pushing 40 miles or more of trails just in that part of the city. And just as an FYI to you, I mentioned Highway 255 earlier, that will be, there's a new section that will be passing through there. RDOT added bike lanes on both sides of that section, which is actually 4.5 miles from, let's call it from the Casey's in Barling to Ben Guerin Park. That's what that segment essentially, give or take a little bit, will consist of. There will be bike lanes on both sides of that. And when we add the trail that will connect Celebration Garden and Wellness Park to the historic district, essentially you will be able to make a loop on bicycle, running, walking, you know, whatever you choose, but there could be a continuous loop through that area. And so, you know, someone living on the north side that likes to ride mountain bikes, they've got their bike, they pack it on the front of the bus, they can come out, they could ride for a couple of hours and then they could, you know, go back. But I would think the health and wellness factor, the benefits of the accessibility of those types of things perhaps might help with your application.
Thank you, that's great.
I'll make a motion for consideration of the approval for select fixed route service test dates.
Seconded.
Roll call Angie?
Yes.
Brad?
Yes.
Joe? Yes. Melissa?
Yes.
Dustin?
Yes.
All in favor, none opposed.
Item 5, other business.
We have none to,
I don't have anything.
Those fun emails we keep getting.
I've got stuff. I've got stuff. You know me, always got stuff. There's been a abrupt stop change at the Rogers Walmart.
I can explain.
I think I anticipate the explanation, but I wanted to have real clarification for the people that asked.
So when you think about the whole entire parking lot of Walmart and the strip mall that's to the side, the draw line down the center of that, everything to the right, they've asked us to vacate that area. You know, we've been driving the heavy buses on there, and there has been some damage to the lot. We've looked back on the cameras and that parking lot has been pretty well etched up, and I think with the ice storm and things of that nature, it just made it very, very weak, and so continuous traffic flow. You know, so they've asked us kindly to vacate, and Walmart's been very helpful with us to try to, you know, work in on their side of the parking lot. There's not a lot of opportunity there, and we wanna be careful not to repeat any problems of damage on their property. And so, you know, when we talk about bringing in the big buses, we indicated in the public hearing that there was likely gonna be some, you know, some situations where you would have to walk to the store. And we checked with Rock Region Transit, with Razorback, and they don't go into the Walmart parking lots either. They're perimeter only. And so with the larger buses, that's kind of what you're seeing is perimeter service.
Right on the
And,
streets.
so where we're currently dropping now is for the Rogers Express bus, we're actually making a loop out off Mazard and Phoenix and coming back in on the Rogers, and we're boarding right there at the new sidewalk that the street department has placed in there, and that's working out okay. okay, at least it's still a ways from the store, but at least there is a sidewalk that goes around the perimeter of the, so you're not in the middle of the parking lot. The Super Center bus, we kind of initially have looked at right there behind the Murphy gas station it's kind of a concrete padded area there, so we looked at that for a staging area, but we feel like we can probably sort of stage somewhere back, set in the parking lot, and then try to get up as close as we can to the garden center for pickup and drop offs. I mean, that is something where this all happened like last week, and we're trying to iron out the pieces to it and get as close as we can. But still, you have to keep in mind that typically for fixed routes, your FTA views it as a 2 to 4 block walking access type thing. And we do have the demand response that can take you right up to the door.
I know before the move, I was interested in us getting some better signage at the pickups. Does this new move improve our chances of getting better signage for those stops?
Well, we have been working, I think, on the other Walmarts. We're making some success there on bus stops, amenities, right, Greg? Is that correct?
Bus stops and shelters at locations, like Killer Highway would be right there. We pick on the perimeter, there. And so we, in the work of getting a shelter there and, a bus stop at that location. I think it's a bus stop already there, but not the shelter. As well as, the one over here on Zero, in that area that we picked up between that shopping center and Walmart, putting a
Yes,
shelter
I've
there.
had customer feedback since it moved out further, especially because it's on the ground. There's been a lot of demand for the cement pad.
Yeah, it's gonna be a cement pad there. We're talking about putting, a cutaway there so wheelchairs can get up and down and just make it easily accessible, to get up and down. So there at that location, and I'm missing, in the neighborhood market here on 71, on that side street there, which is called Park, I think. There'll be a shelter there and a pad, and a bus stop sign. It's already a bus stop sign there, so.
But especially with the new move, we wanna make sure and get it signed so that folks aren't waiting where they used to wait.
Right.
A lot of this is growing pains.
Oh, it is.
And we're just gonna have to, not just us, but the public as well, gonna have to, learn to make adjustments and work in the best way we can. It was kind of a sudden move for us, over at the, Rogers Super Center, so we're trying to accommodate as best we can and work in something that's gonna work for a long-term solution. Something I'd like to look at doing, we're just kind of looking into possible curb cut, maybe off of Mazard Road or something that would be fairly close to the, entrance there of the garden center, where we could actually do a pull-off, and with a bus, something of that nature. So we have our eyes on what kind of improvements we can make, along the perimeter of the Walmarts that will get us as close as we can, to the areas, the boarding areas that are better for passengers. It's just a work in progress.
It takes time. Since we got the final approval on the big F-35 project, we know now that the growth is coming. Very soon, we're gonna have a bunch of people that I think may need to learn about the bus system. Are we already meeting with the chamber? The chamber's been doing meetings about this influx that's coming in already. Are we already on top of that and gonna teach a class to these, I know some of them are coming from a long way where they may be used to public transportation like Singapore. I know we sometimes do this, how to take the bus class, you know what I'm talking about? Maybe there's opportunity to link one of those when they get here.
I think that's a good idea. We'll work with administration works with the chamber.
Yeah, you know the meetings I'm talking about that have been happening.
And certainly
What
there's
happens right now? We have meetings with the chamber on that project every week.
Yeah, I know they're pretty, but that's a need that may not have been addressed yet, that may be coming. People that are gonna be interested in public transportation. And our system is great, but the class does help. It's not always 100% intuitive. I spend a lot of time teaching people how to take the bus, and this is people that's all at once, so we can address it all at once, you know, rather than my individual talk-throughs.
We take a lot for granted for transit because we're here and with it all the
Yeah.
time, but
It's,
there are a lot of pieces to
there are
it.
things about, it's real easy once you get started and once you get going, but
It's getting going.
the original, if, you know, if you're not used to it, every city's different, you know. I had a writer mention to me yesterday that when the Marshall's Museum opens July 1st, that, and not too far in the future, like January, the Creative School of the Arts is gonna be open right next door to it. We may need to start considering making that something that the trolley route covers, cause that's, you know, a new tourist destination that, you know, the trolley route service would serve well.
We know the bus will fit in the US Marshals loop, we've tried.
Will it go through there? I figured it would have to come near there, I didn't think it would go
It's
through
talent,
there.
but yes, it can.
Okay, so we've tested it,
There's a
okay,
talent man right over there. It was first 20 buses there.
okay, yeah.
So yeah, we've got that.
That's something we're already thinking about, alright, 'cause it isn't a destination yet, but I think it will be. And this is not a now project, but something that might be an opportunity just to keep an eye peeled on the radar for. I've heard, and it might be good as a test project for something we were trying out. I've had somebody who was real interested in transportation to and from city board meetings at night. Getting there is not a problem because they start at 6 and our last bus runs at 5. But the getting home is a big challenge because it's after even the demand bus. And there's no telling when they're gonna be over. I mean, sometimes they're over at 7:30, sometimes it's 10 at night. So it's not easy to address. But, you know, as we come across creative solutions or pilot programs like a partnership with a rideshare that we've talked about for, you know, fixing something else, that might be a small sample group that we could test some of these little things out with. Just put it on the radar that there is interest there, people who would like to attend in person. Like, we have a great live stream system for watching it at home. If you don't need to be there, I watch them at home every time. But if you wanted to speak in person, getting there could be a challenge. So that's just another demand that, you know, that's not a now project, that's something to think about in the future project.
Something that, just to make sure the commission's aware of, is if there is a transit-related issue or concern that involves the board of directors, it's in our grant requirement that we provide transportation to that. So we will provide that with advanced knowledge, if it's transit-related.
Yeah.
But I see what you're
Yeah,
saying.
for the general interest.
Right. I just wanna make sure you're aware.
Yeah, and you know, I know that is a very complex problem that will involve a creative solution. But it's one of those things just to keep in mind, you know, be a relatively small test group if we needed one for something. The demand is there. That is all the things that I had.
Item number 6, Commissioners Forum.
I just don't think I'm on that again.
Anyone? I don't have anything to add.
No, I'm good.
Don't have anything directly related to that, but we are having a, National Train Day deal Saturday at the Trolley Museum. And, the people that have the, model railroad will be there to show it, even though they're not running it right now, cause they're replacing a bunch of track. But they have equipment out, and, we'll do, the Indian Territory Pistoliers will do their reenactments. And,
That's cool.
it'll be kind of fun. And then Sunday on Mother's Day, we're gonna have free rides for mothers.
I've been listening.
Nice.
And number 7, Citizens Forum. We have anybody here today who wants to speak?
further out would be cooler, because we would have had almost all of the test dates for the test route that way, to be getting a bigger, stronger gauge of a whole summer's worth of the test route.
That sounds good.
Sometimes.
I mean, I know there's one in October, but you know, that would give us most of the summer days that way.
Well, if something comes up with that meeting, then October would be
Yeah,
soon enough
that
to
would put it out there.
address
yeah.
it.
So September 9th is the date that they're gonna be doing it in September. So then you would have, if you chose a Wednesday again, the 13th, the 20th, and the 27th. If Ken is,
Those work for me.
so any of those days,
Any of those, they're fine, yeah.
20th,
the
Sounds
20th
work for everybody?
is,
September.
Of September.
so Angie, do you
I
want your
teach Tuesdays and Thursdays, so we're good.
Okay, so Wednesday, the 20th, at
Mhm.
12 o'clock,
Mhm.
11:30 for you guys for lunch. Okay. That was painless. Thank you.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, I appreciate it.